At the beginning of the movie, we see a film crew searching for a good location to shoot in the jungle. Night falls and there are three of them, two men and their cameraman. But they lose their way, wandering through the jungle and ending up in the same spot again and again. Realizing they're lost, they decide to look for a place to pitch their tent. While searching, they suddenly notice a man standing in front of them, as if he's been waiting. When he turns his face, they're shocked to see that he's wearing a strange mask. Terrified, they try to run. After all, anyone standing alone in the middle of the jungle with such a mask would make anyone panic. But the masked man isn't alone. He has two companions, one of them a girl. One of the crew members takes out his phone, hoping to find a signal and call for help. But before he can do anything, another masked man appears and kills him with a chainsaw, leaving only the woman and the cameraman alive. Their survival doesn't last long either. The killers brutally murder both of them, and their horrific deaths are captured on the cameraman's own camera. The scene shifts, and now we see another film crew, also with three members. A girl named Hope, her partner, and their cameraman. A producer has asked them to find a suitable cabin for their short film, but they haven't been able to find one. Hawk suggests they might find a cabin deep in the woods, so they pile into a car and drive into the forest. They stop at a gas station to fill up. The cameraman, who's recording everything, explains that the producer instructed him to film nonstop. "That's why I'm doing this," he says. The producer said the camera should never be turned off. Eventually, they reach the forest and discover a cabin hidden among the trees. Hope's companion, Bun, is nervous and insists they should leave. But Hope ignores him and heads toward the cabin. Just as she's about to go inside, she hears a girl screaming from within. They rush in to investigate, only to find that the sound is coming from a TV. As they search the place, they finally come across the cabin's owner. He gets angry at them, but they explain everything. They had heard screaming coming from the cabin, which is why they went inside. At this point, Hope tells the cabin owner, "We'd like to rent this cabin for 2 days." Taking advantage of the situation, the cabin owner asks for $2,000, which is way too much. Since they still need to finish their movie, Hope negotiates and offers $750 a day. The owner refuses at first, but eventually agrees, figuring it's still a good deal for him. Hope pays her, and just as the owner is about to leave, he warns them not to go deeper into the forest. He explains that a group of people live there and might not appreciate outsiders. Many of them once lived in the area until the government forced them out. Some left, but others remained hidden in the woods. After sharing this, the owner leaves. Hope and Ben are thrilled because they finally found this cabin, which is perfect for their short film. Hope updates the producer, who says he'll come check it out soon. To celebrate, Hope, Ben, and the cameraman have a few drinks, then head into the woods to scout for a good spot. They realize the whole forest is an ideal backdrop for their movie. While looking around, Hope notices someone moving through the bushes, but doesn't pay much attention. The three head back inside the cabin and review the footage from the woods. On the camera, they spot the same masked man shown at the beginning of the film. This alarms Hope, and she tells Ben to lock all the windows and doors. A little later, the producer arrives. They explain everything to him and show him the footage, but he brushes it off, saying it's probably just some kid pulling a prank. The producer tells them to stay put, but Hope doesn't want to. He says they'll spend the night somewhere else, but they'll need to wait a little while because a colleague is coming to check the cabin. He tells Bun, who's sitting near the window, to pack his things. As Hope looks outside, she spots the same masked man again. And luckily, everything gets caught on camera. She immediately reports it to the producer. He's just about to check the footage when someone knocks on the door. When the producer goes to look, no one's there. He assumes it's just some kid pulling a prank and goes back inside. Per tries to calm Bun down, saying they're just overthinking things and should get started on their short film. But right then, there's another knock at the door. This time, when the producer opens it, the same three masked killers are standing there. The producer confronts them and tells them to leave, but they don't budge. Suddenly, one of them smashes him in the head with a hammer, killing him in a brutal, bloody way. The cameraman rushes back inside, still holding his camera, and all three of them are horrified at what just happened. Now it makes sense why they had no phone signal. The masked killers were carrying a device that blocked it. Things got even worse when the lights went out. The killers stood outside, waiting for Hope, Bun, and the cameraman. "We need weapons to defend ourselves," Hope said. They ran into the kitchen, grabbed knives, and also found some flashlights. The three of them moved into another room, but one of the masked men was standing just outside. Just then, the lights flickered back on. Downstairs, Hope discovered a box filled with CDs, one of which had a girl's name written on it. She slid it into the DVD player, and the screen showed footage of that same girl. The masked men were dragging her outside, tying up her hands and feet. Then they ran a lawnmower over her face, shredding it completely. The girl died in agony. The terrifying part was that the room where she had been sleeping was actually inside this very cabin. That meant whoever these masked men were, they had been doing this for a long time. They would kill anyone who came into the cabin or even the forest, and they would film everything. After some thought, they finally asked the masked men directly, "What do you want?" The reply was chilling. They only wanted the girl. They meant Hope. That made Hope even more nervous. She tried to convince the masked woman that she hadn't done anything, that she was just a filmmaker, so they should let her go. But of course, the masked killers didn't listen. Bunn also tried to tell Hope that reasoning with these people was pointless. Just then, the producer's partner pulled up in a car. Hope told Bunn that the three of them could make a run for it and escape in his car. They were still discussing how to get there when the masked killers sent a video to Hope's phone. When they played it, they saw the killers had captured the producer's partner and were brutally torturing him with a drill. They ripped out his nails one by one and then, unsatisfied, killed him. Everyone was horrified. To make matters worse, they dragged his body to the window and then slashed the tires of his car, completely destroying their escape plan. Ben decided to search for a signal to call the police, but he came rushing back faster than he had left because the killers had already attacked him, leaving him badly injured. Once inside, Ben noticed that only 2 killers were visible outside the window. Where was the third one? Fearing that he might already be inside, they began searching the cabin. Ben had kept a hunting knife nearby for protection. But when he approached the bed to check, the third killer suddenly lunged out from underneath and grabbed Ben's legs. Then Ben drives the crowbar straight into the killer's face, killing him instantly. The 2 killers left outside tried to set the whole cabin on fire to force Hope, Ben, and the cameraman out. Each of them carries a camera to record everything, but suddenly the lights go out and the masked woman attacks. Hope manages to slip out of the cabin and runs into the woods. Inside, the lights flicker back on, and the masked woman grabs Ben from behind. Without hesitating, Ben plunges the knife into her neck, killing her. The cameraman and Ben then escape the cabin and run, but in the darkness outside, they get separated. Meanwhile, Hope pushes through the woods but is suddenly ambushed by the last surviving man wielding a huge knife. She manages to break free and reach her car. Just as she thinks she's safe, the killer shows up with a chainsaw, forcing her to run again. The cameraman gets a signal and starts dialing the police, but another masked man suddenly appears, ambushing him from behind and killing him. This wasn't the same killer with the chainsaw, meaning there were many more of them out there. Hope makes it to the road where a car approaches. Behind the wheel is none other than the cabin's owner. Hope jumps in, explains everything, and begs for help. But instead of saving her, the owner drives her back toward the cabin. That's when the shocking truth is revealed. The owner is also one of the masked killers. Realizing this, Hope stabs him in the stomach and escapes. Meanwhile, Ben is still on the run. He stumbles upon an old cabin where he finds the cameraman's dead body. As soon as Ben steps inside to check, the killer suddenly appears in front of him with a chainsaw. He attacks Ben, brutally killing him. At the same time, Hope records a message. "This could be my last message. If anyone finds this video, I want you to hunt these masked men down with the help of the police." After that, she starts searching desperately for a way out. Meanwhile, a masked man was recording Hope, and she noticed it, so she set a trap for the killer. As soon as he fell into it, Hope smashed the last killer's head with a rock, beating him relentlessly until he died. Hope was about to escape, but then a man with a chainsaw showed up and slashed her stomach with a sharp stick. Despite her injury, Hope kept running, still chasing after the killer. She found him, and this time, she stabbed him in the chest with her knife, but he tore her apart and eventually killed her too. After that, we see a video of Hope's statement about surviving. It was a podcast where she recounted how her friends were murdered by the masked men. "I almost got killed too, but I fought them and barely made it out alive," she said. She then revealed that she was planning to make a big movie about everything that happened. After the podcast, Hope went home to sleep. but someone snuck into her house and started recording her. It turned out to be one of the masked men, and he finally killed Hope as well. This meant that poor Hope, who thought she had escaped, ended up as the last victim. They didn't spare her either, because as we know, apart from the killers who had already died, many more had been stalking her all along, just waiting for their chance. These masked killers murder anyone who comes into the forest. To them, the woods are their home, and they won't let outsiders in. They believe city people ruin their land, their way of life, and even threaten their very survival, which they cannot tolerate. In their minds, they're protecting their home, the forest, but in the most brutal way possible, by killing anyone who enters. And that's absolutely wrong. That's why we call them insane, psychotic killers. They even make videos to prove their point, showing that this is what happens to anyone who dares to cross them. And with that horrific ending, the movie comes to a close. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, subscribe to this channel for more.